But just going back to, so obviously on the digitalization side, procurement is a newer function than some. It's relatively early in its digital transformation journey, and I would say to a certain extent, the digitalization of how organizations procure goods and materials is more advanced than, for example, the way they procure services, because it's just a different thing. But also, if you look at the technology suite available in the marketing segment, is massive. It's a giant industry. It's very well established. In procurement, it's kind of an emerging area. But so the digitalization side of it is clearly an important factor. It's something that's happening. But I'm very interested to talk to you more about the creativity side of it, because it's really, and as to how that applies to the people who are doing great things in procurement. But also I'd be interested to look at that through the lens of your particular business in your particular industry and the type of challenges that you face where creativity can be applied. Because there must have been some things during the pandemic that required some creativity from you guys in terms of how you were trying, just in the type of business that you are.
Yes, I mean, absolutely. I mean, the pandemic put all businesses under a huge degree of stress, and especially being in the retail industry as we were, and the way we're split between our grocery section and our general merchandising section, they were on their separate paths. So we were very lucky because we had or have a very much an online presence.
Yeah.
So we were able to keep that open during the pandemic, and maybe closed some of the John Lewis stores when we needed to, but the Waitrose stores stayed open. So supply chain wise, a lot of the teams were focused on effectively just ensuring that the stores remained open and had the right chemicals and cleaning equipment, and we had the right supplies. But also feeding into the online delivery, we found ourselves under a huge amount of pressure in terms of bringing in contingent labour to operate in our warehouses and support the business going forward. I think in regards to the creativity side, our business is going through a huge degree of change. We're a 150 odd year plus legacy business, and seen a significant degree of change, but equally retail is changing. And as we diversify as the business from retail to other areas, we're talking about build to rent, we're talking about financial services. We are also requiring procurement to support those functions as well. In regards to how we function and where the creativity comes into play, I think this is really a key challenge for everyone in procurement. It's, as you rightly said, it's well recognised that procurement has a role, let's say, in direct procurement. In regards to services, it's one where we are still very much trying to establish ourselves in some degree in new areas, be it financial services for us as a business, or for other parties around support services for people, as well as breaking into areas like marketing, for example, where we are supporting something at which traditionally the stakeholder has effectively looked after themselves. So we are effectively bringing a different thought process to procurement, and different views in terms of ideas that we've seen elsewhere. As I mentioned before, cross-fertilization of ideas from different categories or different areas of spend, and maybe overlaying those into new areas and say, well, have you thought of this? Have you thought of that? And how we can do things differently.
Do you find that cross-fertilization, so obviously there's the ideas side of it. What about the supply chain, in the sense that you've obviously got different areas of the business and even in like different departments? Do you find there's much cross-fertilization or that awareness of the supply chain across the whole business? I imagine that's quite difficult to do.
Yes, I think procurement itself is going through a change. So traditionally, we would be in that transactional sort of delivery hub. And then I suppose over the last 10, maybe 15 years, we sort of moved into the next field, which is traditionally what you call category management. So we started to analyze the market and we started to provide that information back into the industry or back into the business around horizon planning and what the art of the possible. Then next step would be the supply chain. You started to look at the end-to-end delivery of the said product or service and started to start thinking about innovation and change in regards to supply chain. The next step from there would be value chain. And from the value chain, you are starting to now think about how can procurement contribute to the objectives and values of the business. And how we can start thinking about the relationships we have, and also the methods of not only procurement but utilization of the services for the business. Ultimately, where we want to be is the innovation. We will actually want to be the go-to place where effectively procurement can start to introduce innovation to the business. And, we talk about cross-fertilization of ideas. That's where we should be looking to add true innovation, where we're a conduit into the business for people who have got budding ideas or from new technology. And we can effectively start to take those concepts and introduce them into the business with a potential solution to a problem that the business may be facing. So that's where we need to be going. But it's around the people and the drive of people in procurement to take us from the areas we traditionally feel comfortable in, which is that digital delivery stroke category management, through to supply chain, value chain, and ultimately to that innovation.
And how well do you feel that is supported, not only in your own organisation, but when you talk to your peers? How well do you feel that journey is supported within organisations by the C-suite effectively?
Yes. I think it's down to us to sell the concept. So in my own organisation, look, we're definitely knocking on the door in regards to value generation. Because in my own organisation, procurement, we have procurement policies. You can say there is a strong mandate that a degree of spend should be going through procurement. But I think my personal feeling is if you depend upon a mandate or depend upon a policy, then you've lost already. It's around having the hearts and minds of the business to say, what is the value that procurement can bring? And I think this is where we task our team to go forth and actually identify innovation, identify potential solutions to problems that the business will face. And that's what we need to be thinking, not in terms of product or service, but solutions to key issues in order to unlock the business objectives.